Hello and welcome back. In this video, you're going to follow me along as I finish my summer whips. So it is June 20th. I currently have about 4 projects. One is not yet casted on. I guess you could say 5 then, because there's also another project that I have yet to cast on that I have yet to decide on actually. But I'm knitting a bunch of different summer tops. 2 undecided, and also 1 languishing whip that I'm not sure if I will frog or continue, or maybe I'll start over. I'm not sure. But yeah, this video is just meant to be very casual vlog style video, so bear with me as I try something new. I guess I'll just show you what I have so far. So I recently finished the Pippa. This is a top that I'm knitting as a part of a set with shorts. So I just casted this off, hence why it's a little bit wrinkly, but I washed and blocked it and it has since dried. I've worn it once. Then to go along with this top, I'm knitting a pair of shorts. So I'm using the sandok pants pattern by Sandok, and I'm modifying the pattern to make a pair of shorts. So this is what I have so far. It looks kind of crazy. This part is going to be folded down to get that folded waistband, and you also insert an elastic, which I haven't done yet. I believe you do that at the end, but right now I just finished the increases because it's at the right circumference to fit the fullest part of my hips. So now I'm just knitting it to the length that's required before I will split for the legs. Then we have another top, which is the rose top, which I have shown on here in my last knitting podcast. But this is a top designed by Mathilde Knits. Ooh, look at that color. This is what she's looking like so far. I'm knitting I keep tripping over my words. I'm knitting this one on such a small gauge. I'm using a very light fingering weight yarn held single on 3mm needles. So it's taking a while, but it's worth it because I really like how breezy this is feeling. So then we have 2 tops that I have yet to cast on. One of them being the Lemontini top. I believe the designer is called Blue. This is the yarn that I want to use. It's actually yarn that I recently frogged from a boat neck top that I knit. I believe I used I think it's called Nell's Knits pattern. The reason why I frogged it is because I had some minor fit issues involving the tightness around the arms. So yeah, instead of redoing that, I just decided, let's do something different, you know? I actually found this scrap yarn, which was from my Northern Augustin sweater, merino, the Knitting for Olive merino. And then the main color, what I frogged, is the Koigu KPPPM. I think there's 3 P's. And it's also a merino. So because there's hints of pink in the yarn, I paired them together and was looking at it and I was like, oh, wait, this could be really good. The Lemontini top has a main yellow color for the body, and then she does the straps in a contrast color in this bright cobalt blue, I believe. But I want to do something similar with this variegated yarn. I have yet to cast that on, partly because I don't want to have too many things going at once. I do want to make sure I finish at least the shorts first before I cast on another top. And also, I just don't have enough pairs of needles. So yeah, that's that top. And last but not least, you can see the yarn in the background. But this is the yarn that I frogged and showed in my last knitting podcast. It's from another boat neck top that I actually freehanded, and I didn't enjoy the fit of, mostly just because I wanted something that was less fitted in the body. I've just noticed that I really like something like this that's it's super airy, flowy, and comfortable, to wear when it's like blazing hot. You know, I get lots of circulation with the deeper armholes and the, you know, I don't know. You know what I mean? Those are the main summer garments that I will be focusing on in this video. I do feel like it would be a crime not to mention one of my languishing summer whips from last summer. I just want to share, but don't hold me to finishing this just because I don't know if I am like, I don't know if I'm ready for it right now. But this is the start of the Ringo top by May Bruns. I saw this pattern last summer and loved it, so I immediately casted it on in the Knitting for Olive cotton merino in this black color. I think it's the shade Coal, if I'm not mistaken. But I got like to a decent place in the pattern. I did, you know, a decent amount of the cables already, but I recently saw a video where someone was making or had plans to make their own version where they knit the ribbing up to the bust, the under bust. And I thought, wow, that would be really cute. And also there would just be less cabling to do. And, you know, I'm not opposed to doing the full body cables. That's kind of what I wanted to do in the first place. But when I was knitting on this, my fingers were like begging for mercy. I'm knitting this on 3mm needles, I believe, which is slightly larger than what the pattern calls for. Basically, it's just a really, really tiny gauge, and cabling hurts my fingers as is. So doing it on such a small gauge, it's tough. So I have to knit it in very small segments. After I lost momentum last summer, and of course it got colder and I wanted to knit on sweaters, I kind of put this aside and then never picked it back up. So I do love it. Like, I love the way it looks on camera, and I really love the pattern. I don't know, I love everything about it, but I'm wondering if I should even bother continuing. So because I'm not super convinced, I'm just leaving it as is for now. Okay, so I think that was everything that I wanted to show you. So throughout this video, you'll just see clips here and there of me working on each of these projects. I am not a monogamous knitter, as you can see, obviously. I get lots of joy from picking up different knits depending on different moods that I'm in. So you might see me pick up my rose top and knit like 2 rows and then put it down. And the next day I might be working on my shorts, just because it's on slightly larger needles. So I like to do a little bit of each, and even though my progress is a little bit slower overall, in the end I start to finish things like around the same time. So that's just kind of how I like to enjoy the craft. Stay tuned to see my progress on each of these knits. Hello. It's actually the next day. I didn't do a crazy amount of knitting yesterday, but I did work a decent amount of rows on my rose top. Get it? Rose top. I think I did like 12 rows or 12 rounds, which was pretty good. So I got another waist decrease in. I think I have to do 7 decreases in total, and I've done about 4. I love these. These are light bulb stitch markers, and actually they're safety pins. Light bulb safety pins. But I ordered a pack of like 500 of them, and I use them for everything, whether it's like just pinning my normal clothes or using them as stitch markers or as progress keepers. Yeah, they really come in handy. The only thing is that they do lose their gold color over time, but they're still very pretty and they match my knitting aesthetic. Not that that really matters, but it's just a little bit of fun. So yeah, that's progress on this. And besides that, I've been working on my shorts. really just taking my time because I've been feeling some hand pain. Arthritis runs in my family, so I like to take care of my hands, especially since I engage in lots of activities that require my fine motor skills. The pain comes and goes. Like, it only comes if I'm overdoing it. And because I've had so much time to knit, I've just been like excited by, the next thing that I'm going to work on. So I have to pace myself, take my time, and I actually use a bunch of different little compression gloves. This one is a compression sleeve for my elbow. Usually my elbow doesn't hurt that much from knitting. I would have some elbow pain from playing the violin for like extended periods, so this would come in handy for that. Or if I just am at my computer for too long during the semester, this would come in handy because I would be like sitting like this for hours and being in this, basically in this position where my elbow was constantly like angled like this, and that like puts pressure. I think it's called tennis elbow when you have that pain on the outside, or maybe it's golfer's elbow. I'm not sure. I have a glove that you put onto your hand like this and you wrap it around your wrist. I can go grab it just to show you what it looks like. So this is the glove for my hand. It hooks onto your thumb. Then you fold this in, and then you kind of just wrap that part around so that it's snug, not too tight, not too loose. And it just prevents you from, again, flexing your wrist, whether you're just relaxing for a couple of hours, or I have worn it while sleeping once. It just makes sure that there's not excess motion, and it helps like reduce inflammation, I guess. This one really helps when I am playing a lot, like lots of rehearsals and stuff, lots of practicing. Let's say I'm like engaging in a lot of knitting on top of all of that. This really comes in handy. I find that I especially have pain in my left hand when all of that is going on because, this is my main like playing hand, and there's a lot going on the violin with this wrist. So yeah. Lastly, I have a new addition to my collection, and that is these compression gloves. I got these a couple of days ago, actually, because I was experiencing some ulnar pain on the side of my pinky. That could be due to several reasons. One is working with small needles and gripping onto the needles too tightly, especially working with plant-based fibers. So like this is cotton, linen, my rose top is silk, and I was working on a sweater that was like a scrappy sweater. So I was working with a bunch of different fibers. And I think switching back and forth was giving my hands a little bit of trouble. I think working with the different needle sizes, going back and forth between like a 6 mil for the sweater, and then on these I'm using a 4, and then on the rose top I'm using a 3. It was just a lot. So I needed to keep some sort of awareness of the way that I was gripping the needles, so not too tightly, and I needed to also be aware of the positioning of my shoulder and elbow and wrist. I find that when I'm knitting upright, it's fairly simple. I can just rest my arms like this and knit normally. But when I am like laying down, let's say, if I'm laying down like this elbow is supported at a higher level than this one. And that can cause some issues if I'm not like aligned. Or sometimes I like to lay down and knit, and I'll just lay flat on my back with my hands like right above my stomach, and that's pretty comfortable. But if I do any slight variations that aren't aligned, where one side is more elevated than the other, that's where I run into issues. Harboring some sort of tension on one side more than the other. Also, there's things with the shoulders, like if you have tension in your shoulders and your neck, it can like trickle down to your elbows and then to your wrists, and there's just so many factors. Moral of the story is I got these compression gloves because of the slight discomfort I was feeling, and I did not want to chance it. Most of the activities that I like to engage in require those fine motor skills, and I want to be able to knit for years and years and years to come. So I got these gloves that are just slightly fitted. I guess they're shaped in a way that helps align the joints, and they're compression gloves. So they have this tightness that is supposed to help with inflammation and blood flow, I believe. I just put these on maybe 15 to 30 minutes before knitting. If I am experiencing any sort of discomfort while knitting, I'll try them on while knitting. I don't prefer knitting in them because I, can't really bend my fingers comfortably, and I don't want to do anything that feels unnatural to the activity that I'm engaging in, because that can cause other sorts of discomfort. I mainly put them on before engaging and then after. And if I'm experiencing any sort of pain, I don't want to like overdo it in the first place. I will try to take a break, try to do something else that doesn't require me to bend my fingers, mainly the pinky and ring finger on this hand. I just try my best. But these have helped tremendously. I wore them for a couple hours for maybe like 2 days, and the pain was gone. So that's how I know it was mainly just inflammation, and that I needed to decrease the amount of time that I was spending on knitting in general, which was hard to do because, I'm obsessed. But yeah, everything in moderation. I would rather take a break now and know for sure that I can return to it rather than overdo it now and then, God forbid, I get some sort of injury. These things have all come in handy, and I highly recommend if you experience any type of pain or discomfort while engaging in knitting, crochet, sewing, or cross stitching, embroidery, anything that's like super detailed and requires those fine motor skills. But anyways, tangent over. I have done just a little bit on this. I think since I showed you yesterday, I did maybe like 6 rows, and I'm at the point where I finished my increases and I'm just knitting it to the length that I require before I split for the legs. So I think I calculated that I need about 2 inches worth of fabric before I do that. I think I need 12 rows total, and I have 7 more to go. Just gonna continue knitting and enjoying a pastry that I got. I wish I got to show you what I was doing earlier. It's actually around 7 p.m. right now, so most of the day is gone already, but I actually spent today at the farmer's market. I feel like it would have been fun to like do a mini vlog. Maybe next time if I'm brave enough, I'll try something like that. But yeah, I spent my Sunday at the farmer's market shopping around for some produce, some fruits and stuff, and I needed to get my fresh bread. I got some sourdough, some bagels, I got some peaches and cherries, and a little fruit tart, which I'm gonna enjoy right now. Okay, so I actually think I knit it to the length that I want. I tried it around my hips. I think if I put this back on the needles, knit like 2 more rows just to be safe, then I will follow the steps to put 1 set of stitches on hold, and then I'll start one of the legs. I think you just do the same for the other side, and I'm just gonna knit like half an inch, I think, because when I tried this on as is, it's already got a decent amount of coverage. So I'm loving this folded over waistband though, a nice thick waistband. So I'm excited to sew that down. I'm not the best at sewing down folded edges. It can be a little bit difficult to align each edge properly. For my camisole number 9 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, I kind of struggled doing each of those folded edges for the arms and then also the bottom. and I had to undo it multiple times. Just gotta make sure that I'm like marking it as I go with a stitch marker, just to make sure that I have it aligned before I get to sewing it down. But yeah, it should be fun. It'll be tedious, but it'll be worth it. I'll check in when I complete. Hello. It's now a few days later. It is the 25th, and I have since finished my pair of shorts, which are right here. They're all done. I didn't block them, as you can see from how wrinkly they are and the rolled edges, but I did wear them around the house a little bit. It's comfortable. The waistband is like nice and relaxed. It's not too tight. I was worried that there would be like excess fabric in the waistband because they were huge, and you can see that the fabric wants to like bunch up a little. Like this is excess fabric and the waistband ends here. You can see when I stretch it, it flattens out, which is nice. But besides that, they're pretty good. I think I'm just gonna steam the edges. I'm not sure if I want to give this an entire wet block because I don't think it's necessary, but that's all done. And now I have since casted on something new. So I've continued to work on my rose top. I can show you my progress. It probably looks pretty much the same as when I showed you the first time, but I've just been continuing to work in the round, and I still have plenty to go. The color never ceases to amaze me, so I don't really get bored knitting on it. It's nice to have like a stockinette project in the round. So she's beautiful. That's been like my side project. My new cast on is actually a pattern for a dress that I saw on Instagram. I believe it was released in May, so not too long ago, and it's called the Thelma dress. I'm gonna knit it as a top, which is inspired by the one that I saw. I believe she knit the dress version and then was so in love with the pattern that she casted on a tank top version. So she just stopped at the hip. But yeah, this is what it's looking like so far. You basically knit the front and back exactly the same according to the charts in the pattern. So I have finished the back. This is what you're seeing now. It looks tiny, but I promise it does have a lot of stretch. I have picked up stitches at the shoulders for the front, and it's working out pretty quickly. So I did originally cast on that same cable project, but on this yarn, and it's really beautiful, but it just looks messy. And one, that's because I didn't steam the yarn before using it, and I don't know, I don't really feel like it because I have faith, or I had faith that it would block out. Besides that, like even with the yarn, being straightened out, I don't know if you can tell, but the fibers just have a little bit of texture. I feel like that's just kind of the nature of this yarn specifically, the Knitting for Olive. And so it's not silky smooth, as the name would suggest. There is a little bit of texture to the strand. That makes it so that the stitches are not the most uniform, and especially holding it double, I think that texture is just accentuated. I do think it looks nice in stockinette, which might not sound like it makes sense given what I just described. Maybe on smaller needles it would look better, but I didn't want to risk pain in my hands from knitting this on a smaller gauge. So I was like, okay, I have this other yarn in my stash. This is the Premier Yarns Afternoon Cotton, which is one of my favorites actually for summer garments. It's mercerized Egyptian cotton, meaning that it's very soft to the touch. It's machine washable. and it's really enjoyable to knit with. And so I cast it on just to see what it would be like, and I loved this like 10 times more. I think I'm gonna frog this, and I'm gonna find a better pattern for this yarn. I promise that this yarn will be used because I have how many? I have so many skeins of this, or not actually, but there's like 3 balls that I've wound up with it held double. So I purchased a lot of this yarn, and I want to make sure that it gets the time and attention that it deserves. But I'm really happy with the way that this is turning out so far. It's just, it's like a dream. It's like my dream. I will continue knitting and see you when I see you. Okay, don't mind me, I'm really cozy right now, but I thought I'd do a little update because it's been a few days and I have made some good progress on all of my whips. One thing I should mention about my shorts is that I actually undid the bind off and I ripped back a decent amount, like maybe 2 inches, and I went back and recast it on for each leg, and now I'm just knitting the actual length of the legs, but I did that to fix the issue with the rise. They were a little bit too high rise for me, and in order to not get a bunching look, I wanted to go back and just shorten that length. It shouldn't take too long, and I know it'll be worth it because I did try them on and it fits a lot better, and I can wear it a little bit more comfortably below my belly button. So the next update is my Thelma top, or Thelma dress modified. I don't exactly remember where I left off with you guys last time, but I think I was still working on the front panel. I have obviously finished both the front and the back and cast it on for the underarms and have started to knit in the round. This is how much length I've got so far. I've done 2.5 of the faux cables. I'm gonna work about 2 inches of length before I experiment with some sort of short row shaping. And that's because I want to figure out a way to add some bust shaping, or at least lengthen the front panel. That way it will fit a little better. I'm not exactly sure if it will be a good idea. I'm gonna put in a lifeline just because I am worried that the short rows will actually make the top want to sit slightly higher in the front. It's a worry I have, but I'm really not sure if that would actually be the result, because since the front and the back are, they're attached to the seam on the shoulder and they come to the same length at the underarm, I feel like that shape is already established, and then any length that I add to the front will just sort of come down like this, and then when I return to knitting in the round, it should be fine. Like, I don't think it'll really shift the top up much in the front. That's my thought process on that. I do plan on doing a little bit of research just to verify that this is the right decision. It's all in the name of fun, so I'm excited to start that, but I have about 2 more repeats before I embark on that journey. Right now, I'm actually working on my rose top, which I showed a little bit of. I'll insert a picture here of what it's looking like so far, but I did a try on last night and was like shocked that I had made so much progress. I've been enjoying working on this while walking on my walking pad. Such a good way to knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. And I feel less guilty sitting down to knit, because at least I can move my body a little bit while I indulge. But yeah, this has been my go-to when I'm walking just because it's plain stockinette and the fiber is pretty lightweight, so it doesn't weigh down the needles too much, having to hold it in midair. But I've just done a couple sessions where I'll walk for like 30 minutes and I'll get in like 10 or more rows. Yeah, the progress is looking good. I am almost done with the body length, and eventually we'll be able to bind off, and then we'll see what these finishings are talking about. Today is July 3rd, and I have made a decent amount of progress on my rose top, which I'm really excited about. I have finished the body length, and I just did the folded over edge. So I went back and sewed that down, and now all I have to do is crochet the edging on the actual cutout and then bind off and then sew on a button. I was concerned about the sleeve length because even though they're sort of cap sleeves, they just look a little bit short on me. I can try this on for you right now. But after I wore this around for a couple hours, I think it kind of stretched the sleeves out slightly. Other than that, I'm loving the way it's looking so far. It's very neat, very polished. Right now, there's a little bit more skin showing in the cutout, but I don't anticipate that to remain the case once I do the crochet edging. I think it'll add a little bit more coverage, and then this will be like the perfect summer top to wear casually. The next thing that I want to update you on is my Thelma top. I have since done a bunch of short rows, which was very ambitious of me to do, but I think it turned out perfectly. So this is the front and this is the back. So you can see how the front just comes down slightly longer. And this marker is the point where I started those short rows. So I did about 2 inches worth. And if I hold it like this, you can sort of see that shaping, how it comes outwards like that. This is just to allow some more space for the bust. So there's sort of this wedge shape that I added in. And I feel like I did a pretty good job doing so without interrupting any of the texture. And I also just had to make sure that I was doing a number of turns that was in multiples of 4 so that I was able to do a full cable each time. And that way, when I joined back in the round, I was able to meet up back on row 1 of the stitch pattern. Okay, so here she is. I look kind of crazy right now because I want to keep on a layer underneath. But if I turn, you can see how the back is worked to a certain point before I added in that wedge. So now that I'm joined back in the round, I can just work the length and I should be good to go. I'm wondering if I should incorporate some waist decreases, and then that will make it a really, really good fit. Yeah, for now I'm just kind of celebrating my win of doing this successfully without having to rip back or anything. Sorry, I'm like out of breath from trying this on. Also because I dropped some stitches and was like panicking, but it's all good now. With this top, I only had 2 balls of the cotton yarn, and the reason for that is because this yarn was leftover yarn from another project that was gifted. So my options were to either find scraps laying around in my little scrap bin, which there's no remnants of. So my other option was to search for this yarn online. And of course, Premier Yarns has since rebranded this color specifically as the cream shade, but the one that I have is called Ecru. So I'm not sure why they made that change because it is the same color technically, but they do have different numbers assigned to them. And then within that, there's different dye lots. So there's no way that I would be able to find this exact dye lot. I did check on Ravelry, and I don't think that anyone is selling their stash, but I did find it listed on a website for a small handmade company. I think they primarily do like sewing and quilting materials, but they do sell yarn. And I did see it listed on their website as the shade Ecru. So I'm just crossing my fingers that it will be that 2011 shade. It just arrived today, so maybe I'll go grab it and we can unbox it together. And I'll either be really excited or disappointed, and we'll navigate it from there. Okay, so really quick before my camera dies, and also I have to put away some groceries. Here's the package. I really, really wish that I was able to buy more than one skein, but alas, what can I do? It does look slightly lighter, but it is 2011-02 Ecru. So that gives me hope. When you actually hold the yarn to the garment, they don't look very like the yarn looks slightly lighter, but I think that's because this is all knitted up and there's a texture that gives it more dimension. But here is the yarn I have left, and holding that side by side, they look pretty similar. Oh my god, they're like a perfect match. Yay! Okay, that's good. I'm gonna have to really be strategic. And actually, now that I think about it, I think doing waist decreases will actually help me in the long run because it'll mean that I'll use less fiber as I go on. Anyways, time to go put away my groceries. Oh, wait. Oh my god, there's one more thing. I frogged my Ringo top, which was the all-over cabled top that's worked bottom up. I think I showed it at the very beginning, but I have since frogged it because I realized that since I have this and I'm enjoying it so much more, I would rather, put that effort into this and use my this black pure silk for something else. So I steamed the yarn, put it into ball form again, and cast it on a tank top, which is self-drafted. This mic is kind of annoying me. What if I clip it here? It looks a little silly, but it'll get the job done. This is going to be a tank top. As you can see, it has a very low back, or not very low, but it's obviously not something that kind of joins the front panel. But for this one, I envisioned myself doing a tank that had I-cord ties, so I could either attach them to the back in that sort of normal way that you see them, or I could also do a sort of halter style top. So I'm not sure if I want to attach them to the back or maybe just attach the I-cords to the front and then add little holes in the back or something. I don't know, like a little, I don't know. If I do make it into a halter, I want the option of changing up the style. I did a lot of experimentation with this, with shaping and all of that. And this is another one where I have added short rows. And the way I did that is by doing something similar to my Thelma top. I think it's turning out pretty good so far. I'm knitting this on 2.5mm needles, or a US 1.5. And I really want this to be something I take my time on. Obviously, it's going to take time because I'm knitting it at such a small gauge, but also I want it to be like the perfect fit. I took lots of time like going through my photos, sort of analyzing different tops that I have that I like in my wardrobe. So there's this purple off the shoulder top that I like. So I kind of was looking at how those bust cups were shaped. Obviously this is machine knit, but it's still interesting. And for this one, it's sort of a vertical dart where there's increases made outwards, so going that way, and then decreases made going back inwards to sort of shape a bust cup. There's this top. I have these silly little doodles on top, but there's this dress that I really like the shape of, and for this one, I kind of mirrored that, where it's more triangular at the top, but then it has like a steep curve so that it's still a scooped neckline. I also have this bodysuit that has a really nice scooped neckline. Oh, and there's one more. This top, which I feel like this also mirrors, where it has a slight slope, but then curves in the center. So basically, I was just looking at all of those, trying to see what neckline I like the most in my summer tops, and I did my calculations to see like what sort of shaping to do, and I've applied it to this. So I'm at the point where I've just joined in the round, did my short rows and everything, and now I'm just gonna work the body length. And I am debating on whether I do a plain tank or if I do a ruffled tank. And the inspo for that is this like tiered ruffle situation going on. I'll probably insert a better picture of it here. The only thing with this is I'm not exactly sure how I would do that. I think I'd still have to knit the plain tank underneath and then attach ruffles to it by picking up stitches. I'm not sure if there's a way to do ruffles without having a base fabric underneath. So that's something I need to do some research on. I think I'm being a little bit ambitious with my summer knits this season, but I'm having fun, and that's the point, is to have fun. That is that on my summer knits. I will keep you updated on what comes next. Can I get some commotion for the dress? No, I'm kidding. Wow. I'm so happy. It turned out so good. I ended up going with the first buttons. If you saw my Instagram poll, I asked for people's opinions, and honestly, I was leaning towards the first or the second, the more reddish buttons, but they turned out to be a little bit too small to fit, or too large actually to fit here, so I went with the first option. I think it was a good choice. It sort of blends in more and gives the yarn its chance to shine. I mean, the yarn will shine regardless, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, another finished object done. We'll see what comes next. Probably my Thelma top and perhaps my revised sandok shorts. I should really get those done this week, so I'll keep you updated. So, why is it thunderstorming on the 4th of July? And of course, it's the one night where I actually did make plans, instead of just sitting inside and knitting all day. I guess we'll have to. Oh, there goes the lightning. I guess we'll have to reschedule. And I finished. And I finished my rose top, and I was like contemplating whether I'd wear it out. Have my first night out in the rose top, but there's a downpour going on and really high winds. So I don't know if I want to go outside anymore. I was hoping to hear some fireworks and stuff too. I don't know if any of that's going to be happening. I mean, unless it clears up later. I don't know. More time for me to knit, I guess. I'm working on the Lemontini top. I don't know if I documented. Oh my god, the lighting. I don't know if I actually documented me casting this on, but I did. And I'm actually filming a video right now that you'll probably see before this one, where I do a sort of tutorial / guide on how to add short row shaping for the bust. I'm so sad. Anyways, yeah, that just gives me more time to work on this, but that's what the yarn is looking like so far. So, yay. And then my Thelma kind of looks the same, but I have put in a decent amount of rows into this since getting that yarn that I just purchased. I still have ways to go, so I'll just be here knitting my little heart away. I'm back with an update This microphone is so annoying, but I have to use it because when I record with just the camera, it's a little bit too quiet because I am very soft-spoken. So I gotta work with her. We're making it work here. Anyways, I am working on my Lemontini top, and I don't remember the last time I showed you, but I've since finished the entire body. I have bound off, and I've knit the rib and everything, which would make sense because I just said that I bound off. And I just started working on the I-cord, which is sort of never-ending. I did the first I-cord tie and then attached it to the side, knit this little hole thing that the I-cord will run through, and then continued. I knit around the back, and now I'm coming up on the other side, so I have one more hole to knit, and then about maybe 4 inches worth, and then I have to knit another 32 inches of the I-cord, which isn't even how much the pattern calls for. It actually calls for like 37 on the smallest tie, but I'm just too lazy, and after looking at the pictures, I decided that hers are pretty long, and I think I could get away with a slightly shorter tie. I don't need it to hang so much in the back, so I'm taking shortcuts, I know, but I'm really eager to wear this. It actually knit up really, really fast, so I feel like I'm super motivated to finish it now since we're almost there. Besides that top, I've also been working on my Thelma, and it's sort of looking the same, mostly because I knit like 1 or 2 rows and then I take a break just for my hand's sake. But I did join in that new ball and I knit a couple rows. Upon looking at the yarn, I mean, it's hard to tell because I've only knit like a couple rows, but I'm not sure the dye lots match. It just looks like the new yarn is like a brighter white color. I wonder if it's visible on camera. I don't know, or maybe I'm crazy, but once I knit some more length, I'll be able to tell. But there's nothing much I can do now, so I'm just gonna kind of accept it. Anywho, that's about it for my whips, my summer whips. And I think these 2 pieces will be the last to be shown in this video, and hopefully they'll be complete within the next 2 or so weeks. We'll see. So it's time to close out the finishing my whips video because I have finally finished the last 2 pieces that I have been working on. Wow, I showed that really poorly. Firstly, my Lemontini, and then secondly, my Thelma. So they're finally done. I bound off on the Thelma top earlier yesterday, and then I finished the I-cord for my Lemontini last night, and I already gave this a steam block when I did the ribbing and everything and bound off, so this is all blocked, and I've just left the I-cords as it is because I know that they'll stretch over time. That's what that's looking like. I love the crisscross back and the little bow tie. Oh, so cute, very darling. And then for my Thelma, I basically worked until I finished that last ball of yarn. And there's one minor thing, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but if you look very closely, the difference is in dye lots. So about right here-ish is where I ran out of the old ball, and this is where I used that new ball. So, you know, slight difference in color. Luckily, the change in color happens right at the underbust, so there's like that shadow cast by, you know, that angle. So it's not very noticeable, and I'm thankful for that. But I'm just happy that I was able to get it to a wearable length. It's still cropped, but with blocking, it gets just a little bit over my belly button. So it's comfortable to wear with all of my bottoms, and I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. It's so good. It fits me like a glove, and it has just made me really appreciate learning how to implement bust shaping into my pieces. This is like, just amazing. For the waist decreases, I ended up doing 5 in total, and I basically just did them in the plain rib, so in those knit rib columns and then the purl rib columns, and I just tried to maintain that center cable and just decreased into it, and I did that every 8 or so rounds. So I was able to fit in 5 and timed it perfectly to where I did 1 plain row and then bound off. So it worked out really, really well. In case you're curious about what it looks like, I'll insert some videos, and also be sure to check out my Instagram, where I post a little bit more about the finished object details and all that. And also I'll be talking about it in my upcoming podcast, episode 5. And then my Lemontini, as I said, I knit the I-cords slightly shorter. I think I did about 32 inches for each one, and I'm happy with the length. It took lots of patience, but it was fun, honestly. I just sat in the park and knit away at these little I-cord ties. I know that they'll lengthen over time, so there wasn't any need for me to knit 40-inch long ties. I still think it gives the effect of having the little whimsical bow tie at the back, and they're already decently long, so it's just been a really great application of my stash yarn slash frogged yarn, and I'm just happy that I was able to give this variegated yarn a new life. That is that for my summer whips. Of course, I have some other things on the needles and some other things that I'll be casting on very soon, but that concludes the projects that I wanted to focus on for this video. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate everyone who takes the time to watch my videos all the way through, and just anyone who clicks in general. If there's anything that you liked or would like to know more about, please let me know. I love responding to all of your comments and everything. And yeah, subscribe, check out my Instagram, like I said, if you would like to see some more. And I also made a TikTok recently, which was very scary, but has been really fun actually. And again, people are really nice, and it's fun to just share what I've been creating with other like-minded people who are equally as interested and invested in this craft. So definitely check that out. But I think that is everything that I have to share today. So I will see you in the next one.